Zara is in for a shock when she finds that her mother, Brooke, is hooking up with her entitled and selfish boss, Chris. Brooke tries to end it for Zara, but she can't ignore her feelings for Chris. Chris Cole is a movie star and is grabbing headlines on all magazine covers. He is known for his superhero franchise, Icarus Rush. His new film, Icarus Rush Labyrinth, is about to release, making that year his best yet. His life is the topic of all tabloids, and the actor can't step out without being noticed. His assistant, Zara, is paranoid about arriving late since she's stuck in traffic. She feels that any sane person would understand her situation. Chris is meeting his girlfriend, Ashley, for lunch. Ashley understands that he's busy and wants to be there for him. Chris starts praising her but keeps looking at the door with impatience. He suggests they should take a big step, but asks the waiter to take his time reading out the specials. He sends a threatening message to Zara, asking her to be on time. Zara speeds ahead and begs the hotel manager to let her in. She promises to get paparazzi there in exchange for letting her in. Chris distracts Ashley enough so Zara can hand over a jewelry box. Chris tries to gently put Ashley down by suggesting they're headed in different directions. He pretends his work is consuming him, so he feels it's best if they break up. That took a weird turn. Ashley is confused because she assumed he wanted to take a big step. Chris clarifies that he wants a big step away from the relationship. He offers her the earrings as a sign of his friendship. She doesn't believe he has friends, but takes the earrings anyway. Chris rants about Zara being late and asks her to feel lucky he is good at improv. He is still not happy that he had to give Ashley a bigger speech than he planned. Zara refuses to let him blame his breakup on her, but he threatens to fire her. She knows he's paranoid about his latest movie. He won't get more in the franchise if the third one doesn't do well. Zara also knows the script doesn't make sense. She suggests it needs a rewrite, so Chris tries to pass that off as his idea. He asks her to drop by his apartment in the morning so they can find a great writer. He needs Zara to pick up his stuff from Ashley's first, which is not her first rodeo. Zara has done it before for him with Kimmy and Whitney, and it was not pleasant. Chris gives her a list of superficial items he can't possibly leave behind, and underwear that people tend to sell. Brooke's mother-in-law, Layla, feels there's something good in the new story she has written. Brooke isn't confident about her writing, since she feels irrelevant. Layla assures Brooke that she has done everything right with her life. Despite her husband, Charlie, passing away, she picked herself up and raised Zara well. Brooke admits she writes, so she knows more about things she doesn't understand. It's not easy for Brooke to write about Charlie and show it to Layla, even if she was her editor way before her mother-in-law. Layla admits she was once a young woman too, who wanted things for herself. She asks Brooke to believe they are everything they ever wanted to be. Zara comes home and rants about not achieving anything at 24 years of age. Brooke reminds her she was 29 when her first novel was published. She knows Zara is talented and hardworking, so it will pay off eventually. Since Chris promised to let Zara run his company, she asked Zara to speak up for herself. Chris calls Zara at night when he can't sleep. Zara reminds him about his promise to let her run the company, but he ignores her. Chris asks her for a favor instead, since he can't walk into the grocery store himself. He asks her to pick up something fun and different. It has been a decade since Chris has been to the supermarket. He makes Zara describe what has changed since then. Zara is impressed with the Oreo section, so Chris asks her to grab one. Zara asks her friend Stella to fix Chris's script. Stella is already getting paid to organize rich people's closets and doesn't want to rewrite another writer's work. Stella also doesn't write about action heroes. She's working on a queer dramedy and feels there's nothing relevant in the script Zara wants. Zara is unable to get into Chris's house because he changed the code after calling Taylor, his masseuse. He is angry at Zara for being late and doesn't care that she is searching for a writer. He threatens to fire her again if she doesn't have his stuff from Ashley. Zara gets upset and then angry and decides to climb the gate to let herself in. Emmanuel could have opened it, but Zara wants to confront Chris herself. Mila is worried about the look on Zara's face, but she is too angry to care. Zara informs Chris that she's quitting, so he runs after her to ask how he'll find someone else. Zara refuses to let him walk all over her after she worked so hard for him. She started as his assistant 2 years ago and felt she would build up to being a producer and running his company. She doesn't have any experience producing because she's too busy doing his stupid errands. She reminds him about the Raymond Farr movie she asked him to take, after which the actor got an Oscar. Chris refuses to play a blind alcoholic since that goes against his image. He feels Zara doesn't understand the business. She knows she cares more about his company than the agents and managers who rip him off. She makes some good points. She asks him to return the maker's money when even he agrees his latest script is bad. Chris reminds her how expensive his lifestyle is. He needs publicists and lawyers, and it's tough to maintain that. That doesn't sound entitled at all. Zara realizes he's never going to promote her. Chris is more irritated about her putting his dirty sneakers in the same bag as his expensive t-shirt. It's made with the softest fabric from Tibetan antelopes. Glad his priorities are straight. She happily quits this time and slams the door. Zara pretends to be tired when she's home. Her friend Jeannie needs to borrow something fancy to meet her boyfriend, Malcolm, parents. Brooke knows Zara doesn't have anything, so offers to let Jeannie borrow from her closet. Jeannie wants to celebrate Zara's freedom, but Zara pretends she's still employed in front of Brooke. Zara doesn't want to prove Brooke right, because she always warned her against working for Chris. Zara feels bad about wasting 2 years of her life, but Jeannie is happy she's rid of Chris. Zara reminds Jeannie that Brooke keeps writing for Vogue. While they don't pay her well, they give her a lot of outfits. Zara finally tells Brooke that she quit her job. Brooke is surprised since she assumed Zara was going to stick it out. Zara feels it's not her fault Chris doesn't take her seriously. Brooke brings up how Zara has trouble walking away from things. Zara is mad Brooke is not helping her, but Brooke makes her realize she wants what's best for her. Chris continues living his life and feeds his dogs. He realizes the script is terrible and drives up to Zara's place. Brooke can't hear him over the loud music, so he lets himself in. Chris doesn't believe Brooke is Zara's mother since she looks too young. Zara is out running errands, so he decides to wait till she gets back. Brooke asks him to help himself to whatever he needs till she gets changed. She runs to wear something decent and apologizes for not expecting company. He detects an accent, so she admits she's Australian. She brings up the topic of Zara quitting, and Chris is relieved it's not his fault he fired her. He needs to get over himself. He admits he has come to beg her to come back to work. Brooke also thinks that's a great idea. He asks her to join him for a drink, and she gets some snacks. Zara is trying to convince herself that she doesn't need Chris and can raise the money herself. Stella has decided to team up with a new producer instead of Zara for her screenplay too. Chris admits he is acting out since he's under pressure with the new movie. He wants to do the movie because it's part of a franchise he has always been in. He is surprised Brooke has never seen the Icarus Rush movies. She wonders if it's based on the Icarus myth, which Chris has no idea about. When she makes some references that have been modernized in the movie, he realizes it might be. She lends him a boo and explains how Icarus was a minor character in it. Chris is intrigued when he learns about all the similarities in his franchise. He realizes she is a writer because of her awards, which is something Zara never mentioned. She asks more about the script, because Zara never talks about work. He believes Brooke is very smart and asks for advice. When she learns Zara wants him to get a new writer, she agrees with her. Chris notices a photo of Zara with Charlie, who passed away 11 years ago. He understands that time doesn't make it better because he lost his brother too. He teases her about the portrait of her from her first book and thinks she looks beautiful. Zara talks to Layla about how she can't be a writer after this. Layla asks her to stop whining and think about what makes her happy. Chris and Brooke laugh about how people think he got quad implants. He makes her feel them, and Brooke admits they seem real. Chris admits he has had surgery on his chin after he fell on set. Brooke also discusses the time she broke her hand playing football as a kid. Chris kisses her hand and loves how easy she is to talk to. He feels she smells great and kisses her. Brooke feels nervous since she hasn't been kissed in a long time. He wants to make her feel comfortable, but she wants to kiss him too. They start making out and head to her room to tear each other's clothes apart. He feels like he has been waiting for her forever, and means it. Zara drives up to the house and tries to find Brooke in her room. She catches them in the middle of sex and hurts her head while trying to get away. They check on her, but Zara asks Chris to move away from her. Zara feels traumatized by what she witnessed and wonders how Chris ended up at her place. She is mad at him for having sex with her mother and doesn't like them trivializing it. She also doesn't like that Chris is wearing Brooke's shirt because she tore it. Brooke and Chris try to explain how it just happened in the moment since they're attracted to each other. Zara reminds Brooke that he is 20 years younger than her. Brooke reminds her of the time Zara got her eyebrows pierced. It made sense to her at the time when the guy was putting it in. Zara doesn't appreciate the analogy, but thankfully Dr. Randy interrupts them. Chris joins them in the office since the waiting room is filled with his fans. Dr. Randy turns out to be a fan too, and starts praising his acting. Chris asks Brooke for a minute alone with Zara when he drops them off. From the way they're saying goodbye, Zara asks Brooke to get out sooner. Chris offers to make Zara an associate producer. She doesn't want any favors because her mom slept with him. Chris is offended at the suggestion and clarifies that he came to the house looking for her. He wants to give her this title because he needs her and feels she's ready for it. Zara agrees to work with him only if he ends whatever he has with Brooke. Zara refuses to talk to Brooke that night but reveals that she got her job back. While shooting for Icarus, Chris scares the producers by shooting the gun. Zara handles the situation but refuses to take his tantrums this time. Zara suggests Stella as the new writer for Chris and asks him to go through the script that night itself. Chris asks Brooke out for dinner and makes reservations even when she thinks it's not a good idea. She feels excited and tries on a lot of dresses for the date. She realizes he has reserved the whole restaurant just to talk to her. That's sweet. He feels she looks amazing and thinks she reciprocates what he feels. Zara discusses the script changes with Stella that night while Brooke and Chris are on their date. Brooke shares how great Charlie was, but he never got to show his art to the world. Chris admits acting happened suddenly to him. He used to live in the middle of nowhere, and his mom passed away when he was young. When his older brother also perished because of a heart condition, it didn't feel like home anymore. This is when he moved to Los Angeles. He loves that he can share anything with her. He's also confused because he wants to impress her. She tries to reassure him by explaining that she is nervous about meeting him too. She claims she decided to turn up because they should talk about what happened, and Zara's role in it. Chris feels bad that nothing can happen between them. He still wants to be her friend, because he doesn't have any. He got famous too quickly, and everyone knows just the tabloid version of him. No one has ever been interested in the real him before her. He asks her for a walk in New York after dinner, and they visit all kinds of places. They try on outfits and seem to have a lot of fun. Chris admits he gets tired of playing the same guy all the time. He's also grateful for his character because it's the only reason people care about him. Brooke clarifies that she doesn't. He wonders what she's writing next, and has already read some of her work. He starts kissing her, but she asks him to not break her heart. She also lays out a rule of him never lying to her about what they have. She tries to sneak back into the house, but Zara is still up. Love the role reversal. Zara is curious about why Brooke is so dressed up. Brooke admits she had dinner with Chris that night and was scared to tell Zara about it. She explains that they needed to discuss what happened, and she feels like there's more to him than Zara thinks. Zara refuses to believe that, so Brooke lies to her about how they just had dinner. Brooke feels bad about the lie, and Zara also doesn't believe they just had dinner. Layla asks Brooke to figure out if she likes Chris enough to tell Zara about it. Jeannie also feels Brooke must have had sex with Chris if she was wearing the Vogue clothes. Zara knows how Chris is with women, and is afraid he will hurt Brooke. Layla asks Brooke to live a little, and not be rational about why it won't work out. Chris and Brooke start spending more time and take romantic walks on the beach in the sunset. Zara asks the director to speak to Chris in French while she translates. Chris begins acting, but the director cuts him in the middle of the scene. Chris wonders what happened, so Zara translates in a way she can insult him. While the director is looking for more passion, Zara asks Chris to look at the soldier like she's one of the many women he has betrayed. This sounds personal. Chris makes Zara time his ice bath and asks if she sanctioned his +1 for the party. He doesn't give a name and explains that he found another writer for the script. He tries to praise Stella, but makes an excuse about how she put too many scenes with the dad. Jeannie rants to Zara about how much she's fighting with Malcolm. They spot Brooke on their way out, who seems to be in a hurry. Brooke doesn't care for the first time that Malcolm's parents didn't like Jeannie, and rushes out. Zara feels bad that Chris hired a writer without consulting her. Jeannie assures her this new post is a good start for her career. She asks for more wine, so Zara heads to her mom's room to get some. She finds Vogue clothes all over the bed, and a script of Icarus Rush with the notes. They dress up so they can crash the benefits Chris is attending. Zara pretends that Jeannie is Chris's nutritionist, and he asks for them to attend the event. Since her name is not on the guest list, she takes help from Jessie, Chris's publicist, to get in. Zara rushes in and finds Chris and Brooke in an intimate moment. Zara shouts at them for lying to her and asks Brooke to be smarter than falling for Chris. Since she keeps shouting, Brooke takes her aside. Zara asks if it's just about sex for her, but she assures her it's more than that. Zara feels frustrated that Brooke can't see how Chris uses women and throws them away. Brooke tries to explain how she hasn't felt like this since Charlie. Zara is offended that she's comparing Chris to her father. Zara rants about how hard it is to be the daughter of a Pulitzer Prize winner. She always feels like she never measures up to her. Brooke also stole the one chance Zara had of proving her worth to Stella as a writer. Zara threatens to move out, and Brooke doesn't do much to stop her. Zara packs her bags and moves in with Malcolm and Jeannie. Chris tries to assure Brooke they only lied a little. They both know how intense things are with Zara. Brooke needs to head to Big Bear for Christmas to help Layla. It's not clear if she will see him on New Year's. She tries to make him understand that she can't go against Zara's wishes. Chris tries to be mature and understanding, but lets it slip that he loves her. He calls her back in a while to ask if he can come over for a bit. Zara feels betrayed by Chris and Brooke, but Malcolm thinks their relationship might have nothing to do with her. Zara still asks if she can stay with them after the holidays. They're not sure about their Christmas plans because Malcolm might visit his folks alone. Layla asks Brooke to invite Chris over for Christmas. She promises to convince Zara and is eager to meet Chris after Googling him. Layla tries to convince Zara that whatever is happening between Chris and Brooke is not bad. Brooke has not dated in a decade, and now Zara is trying to stop her when she is. Zara doesn't want to see Brooke get hurt, but Layla asks her to see Brooke as a woman with needs. Zara is offended when Chris turns up, so Layla takes the blame for inviting him. Layla assures Zara she is a good judge of character and wants Zara to play along. Layla shares a crazy story from an adventure in a desert, which they all laugh about. Chris wants Layla to know he has never done all this in real life and thinks she's a legend. He thanks them for having him over because he hasn't had a real family Christmas in a long time. Layla feels Chris is great and is picturing how he looks shirtless. She can tell it's getting serious, but Brooke is afraid of repeating what she had with Charlie. Layla doesn't know they were having problems before he was diagnosed. Charlie wanted a divorce because the book he wrote for 3 years didn't do well. When Brooke's book was successful, he became jealous and started to sink. Brooke tried to make herself smaller so he would feel better, but he got sick soon. They never talked about it after that, and she was with him till he kicked the bucket. Layla feels bad Brooke has carried this around for so many years. She asks if Chris makes Brooke happy, but she's worried it doesn't make sense. Brooke doesn't want to need him because it will hurt when it ends. Layla asks her to not think about the end and to do what feels right. Zara has heard this entire exchange in secret. Layla loves the scarf Chris gets for her, and even Zara seems to have warmed up to him. Chris gifts Brooke a compilation of all her essays and works in one book, which even Zara admits is very sweet. They decide to leave for home, and Chris comes in for one more hug with Layla. Zara keeps some bags in the car and notices something red in Chris's bag. She opens it to find the same earrings he gives after his breakup. She feels disappointed, but doesn't say anything to Brooke. When she's home, Zara picks up Chris's bag before heading to the kitchen. She feels bad Chris almost got away with fooling her this time. Zara starts listing out all the horrible things Chris makes her do, like forcing her to pay for his dog's birthday gifts. He also threatens to fire her if she doesn't get him cleaner air. That is weird. Zara informs Brooke about the diamond earrings she found, which he always buys for breakups. Chris tries to explain that he panicked before getting the book made for Brooke. Zara asks if he also took Brooke to New York, after which Brooke herself asks Chris to leave. Zara admits she knows about New York street ads since she usually calls the studio guard to let him in with his dates. Zara feels bad for this getting messy, but she needs Brooke to know what he is like. Brooke also feels she doesn't know Zara anymore. Brooke thinks Zara could have done all this without humiliating her. Zara turns up at Jeannie's place to rant about Chris. Jeannie finally asks her to stop. She has broken up with Malcolm 10 days ago, and Zara didn't know even if she stayed in their house. Jeannie didn't tell Zara because she felt she couldn't care about her. Zara accuses Jeannie of being mean. Jeannie reminds her that Zara is making this all about herself again. Jeannie admits that she loves Zara, but she is exhausted with her. Zara packs up her bags again after this, and moves in with Mila. Chris and Brooke feel lost as they try to move on, and even Zara isn't happy. While Chris celebrates the new year with his dog, Zara comes over to Jeannie's place with apology snacks. Brooke texts Zara to let her know they're good. Zara also admits that she loves her. Zara finds Chris freaking out in his trailer because he is afraid of playing the good guy. Everyone he cares about hates him. Zara assures him Brooke doesn't hate him, and she's only busy moving to Princeton to teach spring semester. Chris tries to explain to Zara that those earrings don't mean anything. He bought them out of habit for Brooke to run away from something good. He then got the idea of compiling the book for her to make her feel good. He forgot he had the earrings in his bag. He also explains that the New York lot is the only place he can go to get away from photographers. Chris admits New York was different from Brooke because he fell in love for the first time. He thanks Zara for being a good listener and producer. Brooke is trying to rush out to Princeton and pretends it has nothing to do with Chris. Zara reminds Brooke that she also made her do horrible things for her when she was young. She loves that Brooke never complained. Zara remained a miserable teen after her dad's demise, but Brooke was always there. She wants Brooke to be happy and feel alive again. Brooke still insists the thing with Chris is over. Zara brings Chris to a grocery store. He is surprised that no one is noticing him and gets excited about shopping. Layla brings Brooke to the same store and asks her to get horned melons. Chris runs into Brooke, and they realize Zara's plan. All three of them apologize to each other and admit their love. Zara wants them to have a real shot and leaves them alone. Chris admits he wants to be with Brooke and has decided to stop taking people for granted. As they kiss, Zara makes sure to get some smoke and effects on them. She asks the manager to let them stay for as long as they want. Zara keeps rising in the ranks and has her assistant. She continues to engage in friendly banter with Chris at work, but she thinks of him as family.